I'm so happy you're here because you're thinking about starting your own beauty brand. I know there's so many things to think about when you're ready to start your own beauty brand, and this video is going to be a little bit different than the average video you see about how to start a cosmetics brand. Because most of the time people are encouraging you how to find manufacturers and how to find packaging, but this video is mostly about how to know when you're ready to start your own beauty brand, what you can be doing now before you even start a beauty brand. So that's what this video is about. This is probably the best video you will ever find if you're ready to start a beauty brand, because there's going to be so much value I'm providing in this video for you and so much insight to give you a deeper inside look at the beauty industry. But I'm sure you're wondering who the heck I am and why I'm making this video. So I'm Jacqueline Taylor. I founded my business, Jacqueline Taylor Cosmetics, in 2019. We are a skincare and cosmetics brand, and I formulate and create all my products myself. When we launched in 2019, we did $100,000 in sales our first month, and we continue to scale and grow to this day. I do not have a fancy background in business. I grew up with parents that were entrepreneurs, but nowhere near like the type of business that I'm in. My parents had a photography business, so they were definitely on the creative service side, but no one really in my life inspired me to have like a product line other than myself. And I'm sure you're sitting here thinking, well, $100,000 is a lot of money to make in your first month with really no background. But my background did come from being in the industry. I was in the beauty industry for a decade. I did makeup in Los Angeles. I formed so many connections with people in that industry when I lived in Los Angeles. I got in front of people, and that kind of led me to where I'm at today. Since doing this, I started my own digital marketing company called Xena Digital Media, and I now get to help other female founders, business owners that have beauty brands, wellness brands. I do it pretty much all, and my strategies have helped so many others, including myself, scale their business to where they wanted it to be. So I like to kind of just start off with that because people tend to think, was there a handout ever? How did I even get capital? What community did I have to sell to? I mean, I'm sure these are questions that are racing through your mind when you're wanting to start a beauty brand, because when I was thinking about this in 2016, I think it was, is when I had the first thought of this. These are the questions that went through my mind, and I had no idea what the heck I was even thinking about at that time, and wouldn't even believe where I was at in 2019 when we did actually launch the brand. So I want to first talk about, like, if you have the idea, where do you go from there? It's one thing to have the idea of, I want to start a beauty brand, but where do you even start? Do you start calling manufacturers? Do you start hiring consultants? What do you do? So the first thing, if I were to start my beauty brand today in 2023, the first thing I would do is I would create a budget. This is the first thing I have all my coaching clients do as well for any business, is start a budget. But with that, you need to know how much things cost. And I'm sure you're sitting here maybe thinking, well, I don't even know how much a manufacturer costs. And I'll be real with you, we paid, I think, $89,000 for our first product, which was an 8-well eyeshadow palette. It's not cheap. So you have to be sure this is exactly what you want to do and invest in. And that's why I like to open up the conversation here to kind of make you aware of these things, because it's extremely costly to start a beauty brand. And there's a lot of time and energy involved in it as well. So I always like to just be honest and tell you what I paid, for you to get kind of an understanding, of how much things could potentially cost you if you do decide to custom formulate. There are other options of white labeling and private labeling, and it is a great option for those who want to get their foot in the door, test the community that they already have, and see if they can get some bites to have some money to invest into custom formulating. So when you're creating a budget, you want to make sure that you are setting up phone calls with manufacturers. You can find them on Google. You can find them through word of mouth, asking other friends that have businesses. You want to have those conversations and just kind of get a range. YouTube and Google are great resources as well. There's so much information on here to tell you how much things could potentially cost. Also finding different packaging companies, And, most importantly, where are you getting this capital from when you're putting this budget together? If you know that grandma gave you $50,000 to invest in a beauty brand, then you can budget that out on a sheet. But if you don't have access to any capital, that's totally okay. You can go get a loan, you can collaborate with somebody. There are so many ways for you to raise capital to start a beauty brand. So don't be discouraged by that, because there's always ways and opportunities to make money. I always say that it's easier to make money than save money. So definitely don't feel like you just need to save and put every dime aside right now, and that your livelihood is just crushed and you don't eat out anymore, whatever, right? There's always ways to make money. There's always ways to raise capital. So do not let that discourage you. So you need to put a budget together, because you need to understand how much something like this can cost. Or you get somebody to come in and invest with you, whether that be a friend, a parent, a colleague, a business that wants to invest in you. There's different ways for you to help build out that budget. But that's the most important piece. You can actually understand how much this is going to cost, and if it's something you want to actually invest in. The other thing to think about is your personal brand. My personal brand has really been what has led all of our sales into our business. We do a lot with UGC creators and influencers for Jacqueline Taylor Cosmetics online, but the majority of our sales come from me, my personal brand, that I take a lot of ownership for, because I've worked very hard to build up my personal brand. And if you don't have a personal brand and you want to start a beauty brand, I promise you will find quicker success and easier success if you start a personal brand. I don't know what your background is, and you'll have to ask yourself that, but let's say that, your background is in financing, but now you have this idea that you want to start a beauty brand. But does the community that you've already built up with your personal brand match what you are trying to create? It's okay to switch industries, but you have to remember the community you have is used to talking about finances. And if you don't have a personal brand, no one's going to even know who you are when you show up. So if you are serious about starting a beauty brand, you need to start today. You need to start today on your personal brand. Showing up consistently on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn is even a really great place to connect for beauty founders. I've met so many people on LinkedIn, you wouldn't believe it. That's kind of like where I met our packaging company, and even one of our manufacturers as well is on LinkedIn. So it's a really great resource. But staying consistent on all of these social platforms, getting involved in events, there's so many ways for you to build up your personal brand before you even venture into this, before you even put $1 down to invest into this. Your personal brand is the most important. It's something you really need to take serious, because if I didn't have my personal brand, I really don't think my business would be where it's at today, and I don't think it would have grown as fast, because like I mentioned, I started in the beauty industry, started as a makeup artist. I already was getting in front of people that were like-minded, interested in makeup. I already caught their attention. When I did their makeup, I used our eyeshadow palette. When I went to events, I talked about the eyeshadow palette we were launching. And so it's really important to build up that personal brand, because it makes it a lot smoother of a launch and transition into this founder of the beauty brand. And you will generate many more sales by doing this tactic, this strategy that I'm talking about right now of having a personal brand to drive sales into your business. A lot of my clients right now that I'm working directly with the founder. People are understanding now that the founder of the business needs to show up. You cannot hide anymore behind the scenes, behind the screen, as well, because it just doesn't work. People want to connect with the founder of the business. They want to see other sides of them. It's being authentic. People want to see that side of a business owner before they trust them with giving them their credit card information. That is something to think about when you are wanting to start a beauty brand, is how you are showing up, and if you have a personal brand that you're ready to leverage into this new venture. A lot of these things that I'm talking about all kind of come back down to money. right? Do you actually have the money to invest in this? And how long does it take to really see that come back? And if you do all these things that I've mentioned, creating the budget, creating the personal brand, I mean, you'll feel so much more comfortable diving into this and actually moving forward with starting a beauty brand, because you'll feel confident that you have the right tools in place. 2023 is a huge year for businesses that have the right tools in place. I continue to say that, and I'm going to preach it all year long. Even if you don't launch your brand this year, it's just so important to have the right tools in place before you launch. Don't feel rushed once you start moving into the process. I mean, you don't need to blast it out anywhere when you're building this personal brand. You don't want that stress and pressure on you to launch at a specific time, because realistically, things happen all the time. Raw material vendors don't send raw materials quickly to manufacturers. Things get delayed. Your packaging coming from China gets stopped, and you never receive it. It goes missing. You're out, a bunch of money and time, mostly time. You cannot get back time, but you can try to get back money. So definitely things to think about when you are just having that idea of starting a beauty brand, because it is a saturated industry. I'm not going to sit here and, lie, because I want to address the elephant in the room, that it is a saturated business, and there should be a lot of thought that goes into this. And if you are 100% dedicated and determined to dominating a saturated industry like the beauty industry, then go for it. There's room for everybody. If I could go into it with really no background. I mean, when I say I had a community because I was a makeup artist, I'm telling you, I was still a starving artist. I didn't have, a giant community like Makeup by Mario or, Mary Phillips. It wasn't there, but I did have the experience and knowledge of the beauty industry, and I knew how to get in front of people. I was confident when I spoke to people. I was excited when I talked to people about beauty, so I knew exactly what I wanted to get into, and it was a no-brainer. So if you're watching this and you're like, girl, it's a no-brainer. I know I want to start a beauty brand. I want to help you. I want to help you succeed. I do offer coaching for anybody that's looking to start a business, whether that's beauty, wellness, health, any type of business. I love to help, because at the end of the day, the strategies used to start and scale a business are really the same across the board. But my specialty, it's in beauty, because that's what I did. I started my own beauty brand, and not only did I make a lot of money up front, I learned how to scale it. I learned how to maintain it. I made it sustainable. These are all things that are so difficult to do. It's one thing to get the business off of the ground, right? But then you're sitting back and you're like, Jacqueline, what do I do? How do I market this? So once you go through that process, I'd love to chat with you. I offer free brand audits. And if you don't even have a brand for me to audit, I can audit you as the individual. We can look at your personal brand, like I mentioned, of how important that is. And this coming Monday, my business partner and I are offering a personal brand boot camp for anybody that is just trying to up their personal brand and learn different tips and tricks to leverage their personal brand. So my advice to you, if you're thinking about starting a beauty brand, is to just start now. Start building the community now, building the audience, getting in front of people. Start today. Don't start tomorrow. Start right now. I have new videos every single Friday at 12 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If you want to come back, you got to subscribe and like this video if it gave you some insight, some clarity to, okay, I'm ready to start a beauty brand, or wow, you know what? I need to think about this more because maybe I don't want to get into this. That is a good business owner. That is a terrific entrepreneur if you are thinking through these things and not thinking on emotion. You cannot think on emotion in business. The only emotion that we have is celebrating. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.